just to say it isn't really him in their surveillance pics.
That was also not me down by the Neosho River sweating through multiple layers of clothes because it is so hot and humid. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Ukrainian rock stars team up with Pink Floyd and Ed Sheeran to raise spirits and cash.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Charges are filed against a Southwest Missouri man 1 day after a Joplin bank robbery. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, court documents reveal it was a tip from the suspect himself that led to his demise. The robbery happened about 10 a.m. Tuesday morning at the Great Southern Bank on South Range Line. Police say the suspect told the teller he had a gun and to give him 100s, 50s, and 20s. Witnesses say the victim took the cash and left in a dark-colored SUV. Joplin police released this surveillance image of the suspect. Later that morning, the special agent on the case says 63-year-old Vincent Gepson from Anderson, Missouri, called the JPD, claiming that while the surveillance photo looked like him, it wasn't him, and that he had an alibi. But court documents also show Gepson had asked the Economic Security Corporation in Anderson, Missouri, earlier that morning for a surgical mask, similar to the one in the image. And the JPD also received a tip from R&R Tire Express in Webb City, Missouri, that after the time of the robbery, Gepson had come into their shop and made a cash payment of $212.05 on his account. Gepson is now charged with robbery by force or violence. Well, authorities in Newton County are looking for a young girl who was last seen in her home early Tuesday morning. Detectives say 12-year-old Italy Renee Savage has health issues, and the heat will worsen those issues. They believe Italy may have left her home on her own will, and officials are asking Neosho residents living east of Oak Ridge Drive to check their outbuildings, as the last time she ran away, she was found in one. Speaking of the heat, it is definitely heating up outside.
That was me down by the river. They were putting in a river gauge down there. I went down to check that out, and within a matter of minutes, Tanya, it was just all the way through the layers right there. And that's because of the humidity, but also too, that's why we don't have to worry about red flag warnings. So we got the heat, we've had the high winds, but because our humidity has remained so high, yes, we don't have any chance of elevated fire concerns. But at the same point in time, look at this. Here we stand at the noon hour, and it's already feeling like 90 degrees when you step outside. So these are our true temperatures. Go ahead and take 5 to 6 degrees and tack it on top of that. So the majority of the 4 states right now already with heat indice readings around, say, anywhere from 90 to about 92. That early morning cloud cover we have, now a thing of the past. Whole lot of blue sky and sunshine really throughout the entire Midwest. Tell you what, that little pocket of rain right there that's now pushed up to central Nebraska, you want to talk about getting some legs. That was the same one that was hovering right over the Oklahoma-Kansas state line earlier this morning. Thing just took off. Luckily, went straight to the north, just followed the jet stream straight up, and now it will transition over to the Great Lakes, leave us alone. And that being said, remember, if you're going to be outside for extended periods of time, or especially if the kids are, and I want to stress that because we've had such a warm up, we know how to acclimate our bodies. But if you've got the kids and the grandkids this afternoon and this evening, remind them it is that time of the year where it is time to start downing water up, down, and crossways when they're outside playing, just because their bodies aren't going to be used to having that feeling like 92, 93, and that's going to persist all the way through the afternoon hours. We're going to have a repeat for it tomorrow, so stay on guard for that as well. Now, coming up on Friday, we're going to have some thunderstorm activity. Tanya, we are showing up on the severe thunderstorm risk map for Friday night into Saturday morning. We'll break that down, give you an idea of exactly where we fall when I see you in a bit.
All right, sounds like we got a lot to talk about. Yep. Thanks, Michael. Well, Supreme Court could be on the verge of overturning Roe versus Wade. If that happens, it will send shockwaves through American politics and will have an impact on this year's midterm elections. Today's Senate vote will show where lawmakers stand on that very divisive issue. Natalie Brand has more details from Capitol Hill.
The Senate this afternoon will vote on a bill to protect abortion access a little more than a week after Politico published a leaked draft majority opinion from February, which calls for overturning Roe v. Wade.
Vote to protect the fundamental rights of women across the country, or stand with 5 conservative justices ready to destroy these rights in one felled swoop.
When we're talking about abortion, We're talking about the killing of human beings, innocent human beings.
Democrats don't have the votes to break the filibuster.
It requires 60, and we don't have 10 Republicans, even if we had every Democrat.
Two moderate Republicans, Senators Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, have proposed their own more narrow alternative bill.
I am not going to be supporting it. I'm supporting the codification of Roe.
Wednesday's vote comes ahead of the release of the Supreme Court's final ruling in coming weeks, but the draft opinion has led to days of demonstrations nationwide. The whole world is watching! That includes protests outside the homes of Supreme Court justices.
Trying to scare federal judges into ruling a certain way is far outside the bounds of First Amendment speech or protest.
CBS News polling shows a potential overturn of Roe has yet to motivate most voters, but 40% of Democrats say they would be more likely to vote in this year's midterm elections if Roe is overturned, compared to 17% of Republicans. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Pro-abortion rights protests are planned across the country this weekend, including an estimated 10,000 to 15,000 marching to the U.S. Supreme Court. Let's look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, Ukrainian musical performances from the front line inspire artists like Pink Floyd to reunite and record their first new material in 28 years. And later, we're making a quick as a wink pasta in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Ukraine's government says Russian forces suffered setbacks around the eastern city of Kharkiv. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says fighters are pushing Russian troops further away from the country's second largest city. But Russia has made gains elsewhere in the region. In the U.S., Senate lawmakers are expected to move quickly to pass roughly $40 billion in funding for Ukraine after the Democratic-led House voted to pass the measure late last night. With the war now in its 11th week, the United Nations Human Rights Council will hold a special session tomorrow to address human rights issues stemming from Russia's brutal invasion. Well, rock stars in Ukraine are teaming up with international celebrities like Pink Floyd and Ed Sheeran to raise spirits and cash as the war with Russia rages on. CBS's Ian Lee has the story.
Andriy Khlovnyuk is a singer turned soldier. This song of protest posted from the Ukrainian capital went viral.
Marching our volunteers into a bloody fight. Every Ukrainian around the world knows this song.
We met the rock star as he prepared to return to the front lines of Ukraine's war with Russia.
I got some 3 RPGs here and one more baby here.
But Andriy's old life caught up with him when Pink Floyd saw that video. He was recovering after being injured when the band gave him a call.
Would you mind to use your vocal session for a Pink Floyd song? What would you say? And I said, let me think, yes.
Were you a big fan of Pink Floyd before they contacted you?
Everyone is a big fan of Pink Floyd.
Their collaboration is raising money for humanitarian relief in Ukraine. Other artists are also joining the bandwagon. Ed Sheeran teamed up with the Ukrainian rock group to remix one of his songs. For Andriy, music takes a backseat these days. His priority is the war. What do you need right now?
I need night vision, bulletproof Humvee trucks, grenade launchers for that Humvees.
Weapons to win against Russia. So one day, he can rock a mic instead of a machine gun. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Andriy says once the war is over, he plans to perform live with Pink Floyd and also looks forward to touring the United States. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Got 15 minutes? Then we have a fill-ya pasta that's just what you need when you're rushing to get dinner on the table.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Now, we knew all along it was going to be a hot work week, but we've had a couple factors at play that have kind of helped us out. Let's go back to Monday, for instance, where we got up to 88 degrees. That's when we had that south wind coming in, gusted 40 miles per hour. That's helped out just a little bit. Yesterday, only topped out at 84 at Joplin Regional Airport. Key factor, that cloud cover just didn't want to give. Yet here we stand at 84 degrees on this Wednesday. Number one, our winds have died down. Number two, our clouds are gone. Number three, the humidity is now upon us. Before we get into that, wanted to give you an update on our tower project, what we call our power project outside of the mothership. Now, before the big one goes up and we increase that power, we're going to take the smaller one down. If you've been past our station on Highway 69, you'll be familiar with the glowing lights if it's early in the morning or late at night, or just if you're going past the two towers, that when you get close to them, seemingly look like that. Well, this is that smaller one. And now our tower cam has reached the point where we can see the top of it and the progress that's been made. Still have a couple more sections to come down, and then after that's done, we'll transition, rotate over to our taller one, and keep you updated on that progress. We also have progress on the old thermometer, as we've now warmed up to 84 degrees, and look at that, feeling like 90, because that humidity is still sitting at a good 70%. These are our actual temperatures, in between about 81 and 86 degrees. And even though our humidity, we just see little pockets of it in the green, certainly drier out to our west, and what that's resulted in is your body thinks it's about like 90 to 91 right now, 92 down in Grove. And remember, it's only going to get worse as we get into the afternoon, because our humidity not going to want to go anywhere. Now, with that being said, I went ahead and kept Wednesday and Thursday's outdoor activity forecast in the good category, because think about this, just kind of as the reminder, whole lot of water, whole lot of sunscreen, going to be okay. Downgraded Friday and Saturday into the fair category because of the impending precipitation. It's not going to be widespread, nothing like what we had last week, but these would probably be your best days to get outside, especially when it comes to yard work, and not have to fight any residual accumulation that's going to be left here by the time we get to the weekend. Watches and warnings indicating that as you push into the northeastern portion of Missouri right there, they actually have heat advisories in effect. Now remember, it's geographically posed as far as where those warnings go, and so we are supposed to be warmer than them this time of year. They're experiencing same temperatures that we are. With that being said, we have our own warning still in effect. The Osage River up through portions of Vernon County up there in the northern part of southwest Missouri all the way until Saturday. Skywatch Storm Tracker, clouds have lifted. So that was what we talked about earlier. That sunshine is going to lift us up rather quickly. A little bit of a split in the jet stream right here. That's from that early morning rain that we saw just work its way due to the north. And then if you get in the southeastern portion of the jet, warmer temperatures, certainly much warmer than what we'd expect this time of year, to the tune of talking about 90 degrees. Now, if we get to 90 at Joplin Regional Airport, that will tie the record. Started in 1963. We also hit it in 1980 and in 2005. Get into Thursday, right back into the 90s. Now let's talk about Friday, because a front moves in from the northwest. As it does, cooler temperatures on the backside of it, then everybody kind of equalizes before we push back into the 80s. Widespread rainfall really from Friday afternoon and evening into Saturday morning. Here's our main threat. It's going to be high winds. We do find ourselves in the low category on the severe thunderstorm risk map. And once again, I want to reiterate, Tanya, that is for Friday night into Saturday. Not today, not tomorrow. Friday night into Saturday is what we're looking at. So with that being said, remember how many days out that we still are on that. Update this for you here in the morning. Doug will have the latest, but that's our preliminary look at Friday into Saturday.
All right. Well, we'll look at it again as we get closer.
Right, and that's why I'm stressing. Number one, the days on that. That's Friday night into Saturday. Number two, I'm stressing this as preliminary.
Mm-hmm. And right now we're just looking at 30 and 20% chances. So
exactly.
Nothing to super stress.
I just don't want everybody to think we're repeating last week. That is not going to be the case.
No. But I do see you took any chance of 70-degree weather out. So you know how I feel about that.
Yeah. That's good catch by you. Mm-hmm. Good catch by you.
All right. We'll talk about that later. Thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Lance Corporal Mark Stwally in the U.S. Marines. The Girard, Kansas native served in Beirut and in Lebanon in 1983. He earned the Expert Rifle and Pistol Shooting badges, along with the Marine Corps Expeditionary Medal and the Combat Action Ribbon. To Lance Corporal Mark Stwally, we thank you, our four-state hero. If you've got a hungry family, but not a whole lot of time, then today's dish is just what you need. Howard shows us how to make a quick as a wink pasta in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
One of the things we hear a lot on Facebook, or when we see you at events is that you're always looking for new dinner ideas, ones that are quick, tasty, and that the whole family will love. Well, here's another one to add to your arsenal of easy recipes. All we do is saute some Italian-style turkey sausage with the casing removed, along with some onions, peppers, and a bit of garlic. Once the sausage is cooked through, we add a couple of cans of diced tomatoes, a good amount of sliced mushrooms, a bit of Italian seasoning, and a touch of salt and pepper. Now we let that simmer for about 10 minutes while we cook up some pasta. As for the type, that can be anything you have on hand. Maybe penne, rotini, or even bow ties. Once it's tender and we drain it, we top it with our sausage mixture. You see, the whole thing didn't even take 15 minutes. And when we pour this flavor-packed sauce with the sausage and veggies over all those nooks and crannies of our pasta, you can bet this is gonna be good. So here's what I propose. Go online and get the recipe for what we call quick as a wing pasta. And after you do, let us know on Facebook what you thought of it. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a quick as a wink way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Now, as long as you're safe, there's no good reason not to enjoy some great time outside, but I do want to remind you that it feels about like it's 90, 91 right now. So by the time we get to about 2:30 to 4 o'clock this afternoon, feeling about like 94, 95. Just take precautions. It's this week in particular, we're going to reiterate, whole lot of water, whole lot of sunscreen. Never too early to remind everybody of that because we got hot real fast.
Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate.
Yes.
Don't forget the sunblock. What do we have tonight at 5?
Well, people aren't the only ones suffering from mental health issues. A new study in the UK finds that nearly 75% of pet pooches may be dealing with anxiety or depression. We're going to look at how you can help in Health Watch. Plus, as gas prices continue to climb, should you consider an electric vehicle, or is it easier to improve your fuel efficiency on your current vehicle? We're going to take a look at both options. And a final wish for a local woman in hospice after she takes her young son on his dream vacation. Hope you join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's all coming up today on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.